What's up with people seriously crossing the line? Personal space is personal space. If you're up in someone's face, get out of there. And while you're at it, keep your hands to yourself. Today on rLounge, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. No means no. Up first, a Karen crosses the line. A crazy Karen followed me home. So this happened a few years ago. For some context, I was a 22-year-old female, though I do have a baby face and could pass for 16, 17 years old easy. I had a Yamaha motorbike, 125cc, meaning it could easily go 70 miles an hour. My dad raced motocross and I've been riding bikes my whole life. He taught me all the road rules and safety do's and don'ts. So one day, I'm riding to visit my uncle who lived in the middle of nowhere, and the roads there are all 50 miles an hour and have extreme bends. And on each side of the road is a massive ditch. I'm going 55 miles an hour, only slowing when the bends are bad. Cue a Karen with 3 kids, all under 10, in the back tailing me. And I mean tailing, within a couple feet to the back of my bike. I speed up to ignore her and she pulls her minivan to the side of me and tries to force me to the edge of the road, which is just a ditch. I slow and let her pass, my heart racing as I barely kept my bike upright. You'd think this is where it ends, right? Nope. I was maybe a few miles from my uncle's at this point and have to go through a village high street to get there. As I'm going through, I see Karen. Her minivan is blocking the street and she stood with her door open in the road, her arms out as she tries to stop me and force me off the road. I just managed to get past her as onlookers were yelling at her to stop. I go the last few streets to my uncle's and stop down the road, parking my bike and taking my helmet off. With a screech, Karen's minivan pulls up in front of me and she runs for me screaming,
"What the F is wrong with you? Don't you know how to drive?"
When I just stare at her, she screeches again.
"Only cars can drive in the road. Bikes have to drive on the side or pavement."
Yeah, nope, that's so wrong.
"That thing can't go fast enough to be in the road. You should have pulled over when I told you to. I'm going to report you."
At this point, I see my uncle coming outside, his eyes shifting between the Karen and me. Now, something to know about my uncle and me is that we are crazy close. Both pranksters. Also, my uncle is 6 foot and not a small man. So without skipping a beat, I put on a fake sad face and run to him screaming in a terrified voice.
"Daddy, this lady tried to grab me off my bike and followed me home."
Where I live, you can get a provisional license before 18, meaning I could have been a minor. Trying not to laugh, my uncle puffs up his chest and yells out at the woman who had run after me and was now behind us. "You followed my little girl home? She's a child." Karen's face went white, and I swear she looked like she had crapped herself as she tried to defend herself only for my uncle to interrupt her. As loud as he could, making sure every nosy neighbor had come out, he screams, "What are you, some kind of pervert? I'm calling the police." Without blinking, Karen runs for her car, speeding off with 3 confused-looking kids in the back. As soon as Karen was out of view, I told my uncle what happened, and we both laughed as we went inside to see my aunt laughing as she had watched the whole thing through the window. Update. Okay, so just for clarification, I didn't have a camera as this was years ago when they costed a lot more than now. And yes, I could have pulled over and called the police, but I was on the bike and my phone in my backpack, so would have had to stop, get my bag off, and grab it. And if you've used bike clubs, you know it's not possible to use a phone with them. I had no intention of stopping, spending all that time and giving her the opportunity to run for me. As for the police afterwards, I was just happy she effed off. The community has some reactions. No Seaworthiness 1981 says, "Way to take the high road, although I would have called the police." Gullible News chimes in, "Yeah, let's hope she doesn't do it again to someone less confident and experienced who ends up getting hurt." Coder Joe 1 adds, "Crazy Karen will probably stop after she kills someone. Maybe." The Pirate King Fear Me thinks, "So a woman repeatedly tried to kill you, and instead of reporting her to the police, you just pranked her?" Mira Loves Cake has this to add, "I know, that's a bit upsetting to hear. I would have tried to at least snap a picture of her license plate or of her." That's actually hilarious. Well played. It's also pretty scary. Sometimes these stories don't end up so wholesome. To tail someone and follow them just to tell them your stupid opinion? That's so dumb. People like her don't know how foolish and horrifying they sound or act. Like, what good was she trying to do? It's not like you were acting violently on the road, and if the limit was only 50, why was she wanting to go faster than that anyways? What an absolute freak. Those poor kids of hers, they're in for it. Have you ever had someone follow you home? What's your story? Next, no touchy. A wild Karen and Karen Jr. encounter. So this just happened and I'm still shaking my head. For some context, I'm autistic and really don't handle confrontation well. However, I'm currently training my border collie, Storm, to be a psychiatric assistance animal. We are so very close to him being fully certified, but for the moment, our trainer and I organize passes for us to both go to buildings, planes, trains, etc., so I can expose him to different environments, sounds, smells, etc. Today we were getting on a train to the city, 1 hour and 15-minute ride. We got on at the front, next to the guard, showed him the approval letter stating Storm is in training, and all was good. We boarded, and Storm laid under my legs, taking up minimal room as per his training. We get to the first stop, and in comes Karen, K, and her younger daughter, Karen Jr., KJ. They both sit on the other side of the aisle, next to me. After a few minutes, Karen Jr. notices Storm laying under my legs and says to Karen,
Mom, that man has a dog. Can I pat it?
And she replies with something along the lines of, just ask. But I can't be 100% certain as I wasn't actively paying attention. Next thing I know, I hear,
Excuse me.
From Karen Jr., and the following conversation ensues. Karen J.
Can I pet your dog?
No, sorry, he's currently training and can't be pet.
What do you mean he's training?
He's training to be an assistance animal, and it's very important that no one interferes with him.
Come back, sweetie. Unfortunately, some people don't know how to share.
I tried to remain calm, but Storm instantly knew my anxiety was flaring up, so he got up and comforted me as he is trained to do. I reward him with a treat, a good boy, and finally the lay command, at which point the Karen approached us.
You should be teaching him to interact with children. My daughter just wanted to give him a pat, and you rewarding him for ignoring her is just plain rude.
Excuse me? He's working and currently in training. I rewarded him for responding to me appropriately, not for ignoring your kid. Leave us alone, please.
You're lying. He's not a Labrador. They're the only dogs that are smart enough to become assistance animals. He looks like a border collie. They are just farm dogs, so quit lying.
At this, my anxiety was starting to peak, and Storm got up and sat on my lap to comfort and calm me down. I reached for my treats pouch and began to get a treat out when Karen reached in and took a treat before me, handing it to Storm.
Good boy.
Get away from me! I screamed and began crying. The train came to an unscheduled stop at the next station, and a group of police officers got on. Karen and Karen Jr. were moved to the next carriage, and we continued on, with an officer staying with me until the next station. Fast forward to the end of the line, and we get into the city as I was talking to the guard, who had actually organized for the police to join us. Karen and Karen Jr. saw us. Karen Jr. ran up to us, and just as I saw her hand reach out and down, I gave Storm the command, other side. He swiftly moved behind and to the left side away from her. I told you no.
My mom said I could, so let me.
With that, she tried to pull his leash out of my hand. I dropped the lead and gave Storm the command, danger, to which he ran and sat under a seat in the middle of the platform. Karen then enters, pushing me on the shoulder, and by this stage, my fight or flight response was the only thing in control, and I pushed her back, knocking her to the ground. More police were on the platform in what felt like seconds. I called for Storm as they arrived, handed them his paperwork, and told them everything that happened. I'm now writing this from inside a police station while waiting to do a victim impact statement. The Karen got arrested for assault and interfering with a service animal. The community has a few things to say about this. Lazy Daisy 1993 says, only farm dogs. Okay, hun. My cousins had that kind of farm dog who was trained to do mountain rescue. Back to you. I'm glad your assistance dog knew how to react to your needs in that situation. I'm super glad Karen got arrested too. The harassment sounds unbearable. At least Storm and the police had your back. This Redditor does, and is super proud of how you handled yourself. Left Kangaroo 3870 chimes in, the nerve of that woman, and what a terrible example she is to her daughter. Good for you and Storm for handling the situation so well. Hopefully the legal system can teach her a lesson since she seems to lack common sense. Just an old baby boomer says, what the F is wrong with people? No means no. Jesus Christ, this is actually infuriating. People literally lack so many brain cells and are so entitled. It's disgusting. Service dogs literally can't be touched. They're not puppies. They're doing a job. It would be like someone coming up to you and actually trying to hold your hand or touching your hair. How hard is that not to understand? Also, if someone says no, you can't pet my dog, then don't pet the dog. It's likely that if they're saying no, the dog might bite you, so back off. What are your experiences with service animals? Let us know below. Lastly, fair is fair and no means no, no matter who you are. Apparently, men can't say no. Last night, my girlfriend and I had made plans to meet at a bar, and because of that, I took a taxi and arrived before she did. We had planned on meeting right after her shift ended. I was sitting at the bar, just having a beer, minding my own business, and this woman sat beside me and started to flirt like hard. I did my best to shut it down. She got the point when she asked me to buy her a beer, and I said, "No, I'm really not interested. I'm waiting for someone. Sorry, no." This pub has a few pool tables and pinball machines, and I got up and went to play pinball. I was at the machine for a few minutes, and that same woman showed up and put her arms around me. I did not like that, not to mention I have issues with being touched. I raised my voice and said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 don't touch, hands off." She got mad and said, "What, you don't like sexy women? Are you gay?" Just want to say, I'm not homophobic. I said, "No, I am not interested. Not only that, I'm in a relationship and I just don't want your hands on me." It's not cool putting your hands on random strangers. If the roles were reversed, how much trouble would I be in? She actually had the balls to say, "Well, you're a man, it's different." Like I have no choice about who puts their hands on me because of the equipment I'm packing. I wanted to freak out, but my rationality took over and I just put my hand up. So you know what? No effing touch me, and I walked outside. I sat outside smoking a joint until my girlfriend, showed up. She could see how put off I was. I told her what happened and she was ready to go in and start a fight. She's 4'9", 85 pounds, soaking wet. Basically, she's a chihuahua. But yeah, it almost ruined my night. But you had a good idea and suggested we hit up the Ripley's Museum. But seriously, aren't men allowed to say no? Edit. Sorry for the rant, just needed to get it off my chest. The community has some thoughts. Mama Magpie says, "Men can say no. You were sexually harassed." True Blue Eyes says, "I wish he had felt that he could speak to the bar staff and ask them to remove her. Assault can happen to anyone, and it shouldn't continue to be on victims to defuse the situation or explain to the assaulter what they did wrong." Ugh. She knew. They all know. I think my son was about 20 when the Brock Turner thing happened, and sincerely and genuinely upset, I asked him how in the hell a boy his age in this era could possibly not understand consent. He stopped me in my tracks by responding, "Some people are just rapists." Can't believe this is true says, "Oh my god, what an entitled idiot." You are correct. You have the right to not be touched or accosted. Wasn't there some kind of bouncer there who could deal with her? Also, good thing your girlfriend is a reasonable person. Glad it ended well, and yes, you have the right to live in peace without being molested by anyone. For centuries, many entitled women, Karens, have been accusing all kinds of people for so many things. She was always right, because just look at who did it to her, and she pretended and cries. And now she is told, "Let's take a look at the surveillance video the place has." Then she backs up, changes her story, but too late, she is caught in a lie, and gets the expensive car ride with the huge shiny bracelets. Gets to stay downtown for a night. I had an aunt like this. She finally got arrested for public intoxication. The toilet is right there. No doors, no toilet paper. That's what it took to get her to stay home when she drank. And she was a fish. She always told people straight up what she thought. Tact was an unknown thing to her, so we avoided her as much as possible. She's gone now, and we have peace and quiet. Ugh, this is so disgusting. Why can't people keep their hands to themselves? No means no. This is harassment. Men experience this just as much as women, but it's often not talked about enough. And no, just because someone isn't interested in you doesn't make you gay. This makes my skin crawl. I'm sorry, OP. That's the worst. Men are allowed to say no. Anyone can, and it should be respected. Do you have any thoughts? Thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below.